And we are live with episode 114 of the Start Build Grow Show. Randy Brothers, my friend, what's going on? How you doing?
What is up, Nick Perrette?
Yeah.
Stoked for another episode. We're live again with another special guest returning for a second time. And I gotta say, man, you gotta be like the busiest man in roofing right now, trying to put on a show during COVID, running a business, crushing records, growing, scaling your business, you hit the Inc. 5000 list and everything, right? This is man, just crushing the game right now.
Yeah, man, it's been a blessing, and honestly, like it's easy to say like, oh, it's all the team, but it really is, man. Like without the team behind us, there's no way we could do what we're doing. Cornerstone's booming. We're crushing what we were hoping to do this year. We set out with a goal of 1,000 contracts at the beginning of the year, and we smashed that midway
Nice.
through July. So that's been awesome, man. We're growing into new markets. Opened up a fourth market this year. And so we got a couple of baby markets that we're kind of grooming along, but those are going good, and we're excited about that. And then, of course, RoofCon's coming along fast, and everyone's kind of worried about Corona. But I really feel like everyone's ready to get off the couch, man, ready to get out of the office, go spend some time together. And a lot of companies that we're talking to are kind of using this as an opportunity for like a retreat. And we really encourage that, come in and not just learn about sales and marketing and stuff. We'll talk about that, and it's great because it's going to help people get that ROI. But we'll talk about leadership and legacy and accountability and working together as a team and building that culture.
I love it, man. We're definitely excited for the conference. Like you're saying, man, we've all been just hanging out, not traveling very much, and we are extremely excited to get out there, network with a bunch of great people in the industry, learn, and like you're saying, great opportunity to bring your team out there and get them out of where they've been for how many months now. But so we always I know you've been on the show in the past, right? You've been on the show. This is your second time on it. And we're super excited to talk about a lot of good stuff in terms of personal development, RoofCon, all that kind of stuff, because I know Randy's a big believer in the personal development side with his team as well. But let's just go back just real quick to kind of give people a briefing. How did you kind of get into the roofing space?
Yeah, man. I was just pulled into the roofing space. It was not intentional at all. So I was in the Marine Corps out of high school, and then I moved into the fire department full time for 5 years. And during that time, I just always had a side hustle, wanted to do my own thing, extremely entrepreneurial. And so I started a moving company, and then I felt like I needed to get into the online space, digital marketing, learning SEO, AdWords, doing some e-commerce. I just felt like that was scalable, and it was kind of the way of the future. And in doing that, I started working with a lot of roofers, helping them out with their websites and running ads. And I just saw the industry, and I didn't even necessarily want to jump into it. It was more of a case study. I was like, okay, if I can grow. Back then, I thought a 7-figure roofing company was huge, because that's pretty hard to hit in the marketing space. And so when I saw guys hitting 7 figures, I was like, well, if I can hit 7 figures with roof and not really knowing anything about it, and then turn around and use that as a case study, I'll be able to bring on more clients. And so did that and just kept growing the company. It was like, man, I really like the roofing space a lot more than being stuck behind a computer all day working with, digital nomads all across the world. We started building this team, and now we're closing in on 70 people, man. And it's just so fun.
Wow.
It's a blessing. And I love it. And then, last year, Pate Smith and I, we were sitting around at another conference we had, another retreat we had. And we were like, we should do something like this for the roofing industry. We just felt like people bought into it. It was kind of a movement. We knew there's a lot of good dudes like Randy and John Dye, people that would love to be part of it. And just something that's more of a collaboration. Like there is no single person that puts this on. A lot of people relate me to it, and I'm quick to defer and say like, hey, this isn't the Hunter Ballew show at all. Like I don't want the credit at all. It is really just a collaboration of the high integrity people in this industry putting on an event for other individuals who want to up level, push each other to be better.
And what do you say, Randy?
Man.
Roofing found you? Is that what you said? Roofing found you or something like that? Does that seem to be what happens?
Yeah, I think so. Roofing kind of finds you, and then it becomes a lifestyle. It's not really a job. It's a lifestyle. You get into roofing, you're in roofing pretty deep. You start branching off other businesses, and they're all centered around the roofing space. I feel like, anyways.
Right. And then we talk about this stuff like at our retreats for, my company is called Cornerstone Construction. So like our Cornerstone retreats, we'll talk about with our guys. Like nobody grows up and says like, hey, I want to be a roofer. It's the coolest thing ever. Nobody says that, but you can take pride in being a roofer because you can create a great income for yourself that frees you up to live the life you want to live.
I froze up a little bit there.
Yep, he froze up, but to carry on what he was saying is true. I mean, it's an industry, it's a business where I always say this, that you truly get out of it what you put into it.
Mm-hmm.
The harder you work, the more you learn, the more you surround yourself with good people, the more success you can have. And what's even more fun, you know, as we'll bring it back on here, but what's even more fun is to experience seeing other people's success within your own business, watching people learn and grow and be promoted, and watch a company grow and watch all these people develop. That's so much fun. Salespeople creating opportunities for them to make a living that literally changes their life, and then take that to a whole nother level where you're now, like in my case, where I'm now like coaching and helping contractors, you know, weed through those entry level and trying to get through those challenges and those hurdles of growing their business and just helping people succeed. That takes it to a whole nother level when you get to experience other people's success, you know, and that's, you know, I just carrying on what you were trying to say there as we bring you back in. Hopefully you can hear us back again.
Yeah, no, yeah, man, and that's spot on, man. Nothing brings me more fulfillment than seeing a guy come in that's making $25,000, $30,000 a year to be able to take his income to $100,000 a year, kind of redefine his self-worth or her self-worth, and realize really what's possible in life. And that, hey, that 100 acres I dreamed of leasing to go hunting on, I can own that 100 acres. You know? I love seeing those stories. And that's something we're really working on right now is taking testimonials from like our top 10 guys that have broke that 6-figure mark in income and say, hey, we want to put you on tape. And then when we have someone come in, we hire someone, we want them to see like, hey, this isn't some pipe dream of making 6 figures. This is the real deal. The only thing that's going to stop you, at least at our company, someone like Randy's company, from making 6 figures is your work ethic, because we're going to give you all the tools, all the training, all the technology to get there. At the end of the day, you got to be willing to treat it like a real job, go out, work 40 hours, put in the work, the effort, the ideas, all that stuff's cool. The training's great. But if you don't put in the work and you don't execute, you don't implement, you're not going to get there.
No, what's cool about RoofCon too, and I think it's a big stance on, you know, how you view business, is I feel like a lot of it's more about personal development, finding purpose in your business. Now, why did you decide to go that direction, and what kind of impact can that have on your roofing business?
Yeah, man, we've all got our own story, right? And I kind of shared that last year at RoofCon. I came up, and I wouldn't say like a horrible past. I was super blessed. I've got people in my immediate family that are great, uncles, aunts, things like that. But my home life was not the best. And so when I got out of high school, I was like 189 of 212, man. Like I was at the very bottom. All I was worried about was getting in the Marine Corps, getting out of that city and creating a life of my own. And so as I went through the Marine Corps, I wanted to be the best. When I was at the fire department, I wanted to be the best. And I just always wanted to be the best I could be, earn a great income, and be able to give back. Like that's something that really matters to me. We say at Cornerstone all the time, the more we grow, the more we're going to give. And so personal development is something that helped me get there, having mentors. And that doesn't mean just lucking up and having an uncle or a dad or a grandpa or whatever. That means being willing to fork out some money and pay for it. You know, there's guys like Randy that, you know, he'd love to help you out for free, but his time's limited. So you got to be willing to pay for it. And I've been willing to pay for things like that throughout the last 10 years, so much money. I mean, I think for sure I'm over 7 figures now in investments into training and masterminds and consultants and coaches and testing stuff, whether that's ads or whatever it is. I've just been willing to invest the time and money. There's so many nights that I've been there past 2 a.m. in the morning, just grinding away. And now that I've got a little bit of a little boy, 1.5 years old, I can start to spend a little bit more time with him. Now I still got my foot on the gas, and I'm going hard. But obviously I'm pulling back a little bit more as he grows up, because I want to be there with him. But to me, that's something I talk about a lot too, man, is work-life balance. You know, that pivot point for everyone's not going to be in the same spot. Like there isn't this equal perfect balance point. So for me, it's my wife. And as Turner grows up, like I've got to educate him and teach him like, hey, dad's not always going to be at every football game. And some people don't like when I say that, but it's just a fact that he needs to understand, in my opinion, that dad's got to be there for other people too. I feel like, you know, some people get so focused on their wife and their kids. And maybe it's a little bit shallow to not look at other people who need you just as much. So to me, it's their understanding of my why and why I'm out there hustling and not at every football game or baseball game.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
think that another layer to think about on that level is as an entrepreneur and as someone's out there just hustling and you take on the responsibility of so many people and we take that on, right? It's like we want to pour into as many people as we can. We've been blessed with the opportunity to do that. It's like a calling, if you will, so you can look at it as one way of, some of the sacrifices are made can be on the family side, but I think really what we got to do is really talk about intentionality.
Yes.
Whereas we know as an entrepreneur, you're going to have less time with your family as you do your business.
Yeah.
It's just a fact of life. It is what it is. And the reality of it is everybody does. We all work 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever, even if it's a regular job. Whereas entrepreneurs, we're always on, right? We're kind of always working. So for me, I try to be very focused on being very intentional with the time I do have with my family. If I have time with my family, I'm not just going to sit there doing nothing, aimlessly watching TV while the kids are over there playing. It's like, can we go to the park? Can we go do something? Can we take them somewhere? Can we play? You have a weekend, you have a day off on the weekend. Great. Be intentional. Do something with the family, make memories and go camping. Like, we're trying to always do stuff with the family, knowing that our time is limited with them. I think that's something we can definitely take away. It's something I've been able to do to kind of, I don't believe that true balance ever truly exists, because anytime something gets real good, you got something gets drops, right? So you're always, it's like a series of, events. It's like there's cycles, if you will. There's no real balance. It's just, you got to learn how to cycle properly and put your energy where that energy is needed at that given time. And when it's time to put energy in your family, put the phone away and be hyper focused and make sure you're focused on your family. Next morning, get up early and get back after it. That's advice I could give, living this for 15 years now, trying to figure out how to balance, a family and multiple businesses. That's one of the big takeaways, I would say.
I don't know if we got college football fans watching, but if we do, drop your favorite team. Big Clemson fan here. So the greatest coach ever, Dabo Swinney, says often, he says all the time, be where your feet are. Be where your feet are. Be intentional. If you're at home, be at home with your family. If you're eating supper with your family, be there with your family. And so what Randy's saying, I can relate to that a lot, man. Like, I've had this conversation with a good friend of mine, and you're 4 hours at home where you're on your phone and the kids are watching TV is not as valuable as my 1 hour at home when I'm actually spending time with my kid, right? And I'm not comparing, time with kids with someone else. It might be me that's on the phone for 4 hours. I certainly fell at that all the time and mess up, and I should be spending time with my kid or with my wife, and I'm consumed in my phone because I'm trying to close a deal or I'm trying to hire a guy, or 11 o'clock at night, I'm taking a recruiting call, whatever it is. But when you're there, just be where your feet are.
One thing I wanted to talk about too was clarity, right? So I know that's another focal point of RoofCon is where you want to help people truly figure out what they want to get out of their business. I feel like people are putting in so many hours and so much work into their business, but they might be struggling to figure out what their purpose of their business is and why they're putting so much time in. Do you guys have any advice to help people gain that clarity and what their why is in their business, so that way it can kind of spread throughout their organization?
Yeah, I mean, I think it always starts at the top, man. As the leader, like, what is your mission for your company? Do you have a mission statement? Do you have your core values? Do you have a common mission for everyone to push for? So like for Cornerstone, our core values are super clear. Like, we're going to give the homeowner the best product. We're going to give them the best customer experience. We're going to give back to the community. And our guys know that. We drive that home. And then we have core values on the team side too. We're going to have the best culture. I want to do $100 million. That is a goal of ours in the next 10 years. And we're trying to reduce that down to 5 years. We want to make 10 millionaires within the company as we get to that $100 million mark. So we have goals that are clear and defined. And it's funny, man, because when we have people come in and ask questions of like, well, what are your goals with Cornerstone? Do you want to move in other markets? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And we can pull it up and say, yep, it's right here. and half of it's on our website. You know, we're super clear on what we want, and then getting them to buy into a common mission. So for us, we started a nonprofit called Cornerstone Kids. We donate 1% of every dollar that comes in back to upstate kids or whatever market we're in. So like I'm out of the upstate of South Carolina. So we take the money from this market, we put it back into a fund just for kids, developing them in leadership and other things too. Like if we hear of a kid's house burning down or if they need books or whatever it is, we'll donate to it. But our goal is to have eventually an event where we do like a 4th of July back to school bash, do some things where we have summer camps. And as kids grow up through the program, they then turn into leaders where they're teaching the younger kids. And so when you have that common goal, everybody's bought in, man. And then we challenge them at our retreats at least twice a year. We'll have a retreat. We'll get together and we'll challenge the guys and say, what is your goal and why? Like, don't just tell me 100 grand. Why is it 100 grand? I need some reasons. Like, do you want to pay off grandma's car? Do you want to send your wife back to school? Do you want to put your kid in private school? Like, I want the reasons so that these 40 other guys sitting in this room can hold you accountable when you're slacking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you hit that one on the head, and we're focused more on the why over anything, you know, because the reality of it is if you're, you know, and roofers out there, we have this premonition that it's all about money, 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 money. And if you hire people with the premonition of I'm going to help you make money, you can make money, you can make money, they're going to come in. That's all they're going to care about. They're going to be just extrinsically motivated, and money is the only thing they care about. And if you build a team full of people that all they care about is money, they don't have a deeper purpose and a deeper rooted why, you're going to have a really disjointed culture, and you're going to have a hard time having a culture that has a purpose. You know, so you nailed that on the head. I mean, every client I work with, one of the first things we're going to do is establish values, establish your mission, establish like your company why, your personal why, and get that deep rooted purpose built into the company. And then we're going to build from there. That's exactly what we did with our culture and company. We've even added to that. We have 7 core values / guiding principles that we go off of. And every single meeting that we have, whole company comes in. What's the first thing we do? We review the guiding principles. We review those core values. It's always top of mind. We've made these little cards for people to put them in their truck. They can see, here's our core values. It's in our presentation. It's in our marketing. It's everywhere. And we built a culture off of that. And then I love you mentioned the whole giving back thing, you know, where we started, you know, my mom and my parents growing up, we were in a family that always was giving back and going to the homeless shelters and doing things like, you know, that's just how I was raised, and I'm grateful for that. And so that was a part of our culture early on, is we felt strongly that we wanted to find ways to give back. So what we did is once we kind of got a handful of people in the company, we polled everybody and asked them what are nonprofits that are close to you that have meaning and have purpose for you. And we took that list and then created that as our list. And now, you know, what we'll do is we'll actually allow the homeowner to pick, or the salesperson can say, hey, this is, you know, I'm really part of the, you know, I'm really something, you know, in my life, you know, makes me want to support the Autism Foundation. Okay, great. So they'll tell the homeowner, all right, well, we're going to donate $100 per job on your behalf to the Autism Foundation. And that's been something we've done a number of years back. And that's been huge. It really drives people. And so if there's one takeaway for any contractor listening to this on the podcast or watching this, it's find ways to give back. If you really want to build a great culture, establish a purpose, values, and find ways to give back. That's going to help you build that solid foundation for growth. And another thing you mentioned, it's how long you been doing this now? How long have you had your business?
3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
It's funny because, you know, I'm going on, originally I had a construction company before, but we're 10 years in now on the roofing side of things. And I remember a handful of years back, it was all about, yep, I want to build 100. I want to go to 100. I want to go to 100. We're going to start. The idea was, you know, we can build 5 $20 million companies or 10 $10 million companies and put them all over the country. And that's what we're going to do. And the more and more I started having kids, the more and more we really started learning the business and learning, you know, diminishing returns and learning the really high level things when it comes to business. Personally, I started to shift a little bit. Now we're more like, how do we build a very sustainable company without having to travel, without having to be away from my family, without having to deal with offices all over the place? And ultimately, that's what kind of led me into coaching. because instead of me trying to take my model and start businesses all over the place and expand all over, and that's what originally I thought that's what I wanted to do. We had an office in Texas, we have in New Mexico, shrank all that down, and we're just focused in Colorado now. And that's what encouraged now with the coaching. It's like I can travel, I can coach, and I can work with companies, and it's just so much fun because I still get that experience of building companies and helping people succeed and building teams without having to, you know, with the ability to check out at 6 o'clock at night and go hang out with the family and not be traveling all the time in hotels every 2 weeks. And so that changed over time. And now we're kind of like, you know what? We kind of feel like we've kind of hit a sweet spot, and we like that sweet spot. And now it's all about efficiency, bringing people up, and the bottom line, profitability and efficiency, and taking that and investing into other things. So as you grow as an entrepreneur yourself, that might shift a little bit. It may shift when, especially as your boy grows up. Like I started coaching my son's baseball team recently, and there's no greater joy than be able to just, you know, he's out in the backyard right now waiting for me to get off this to go play baseball with him. And there's nothing better than life than that for me, you know, as a kid, as an adult that has, you know, a 5-year-old boy that's just eager to play ball and stuff. But man, a lot of good takeaways there.
Awesome, guys. Appreciate it. Those great responses. So, okay. So now I think, you know, talking about culture, and I think this kind of goes hand in hand with my next point is recruiting the best talent and retaining the best talent, right? This is an issue that we hear nonstop from a lot of people in the Roof Academy, people that I work with, whatever it might be, right? We can't find good talent. And then if they do finally get good talent, the good talent leaves. How can we get that talent and make sure they don't go anywhere?
Yeah. Yeah. So for us, man, in terms of the recruiting part of it, we have a lot of guys come through from our current reps, you know, because they're so excited about what they're doing. You know, they've experienced change in their life, and not just the money. I want to drive that home. Like I keep talking about the money, but it's at the end of the day, it's really not about the money. Like if you ask our guys, their quality of life when they come to Cornerstone goes up. And that's a testament to our culture and having fun and being willing to invest into our people. And I say this all the time. There's so many owners out there in roofing and marketing and plumbing and tech that want to know what a good culture means. How do you get a good culture? I want to have a good culture. They say that. I hear that all the time. And people have to realize that culture to me is just an investment into your people. It really is. Being willing to invest your time, listen to them, you know, bring yourself down, have empathy when they're struggling with things, invest money into them so that they can get better. Just talk to them about life. So it's an investment into your people. And I think that just helps you, you know, get that complete buy-in from your team so that they're proud to share their place of employment with their friends, with their family, post about Facebook. We won best place to work. You know, we won best roofing. We won best solar, best commercial roofing, best all these awards. And I promise you, nothing made me more happy than winning best place to work, man. That was just so cool to see in 3 years. And we were going up against, you know, you guys don't know the upstate, but some huge companies, a huge bank here, a huge high school, private high school, and we got voted best place to work. So it was really cool to see that. And then, you know, we use ZipRecruiter, we use LinkedIn, we use other, you know, platforms. But at the end of the day, it's our system of getting them into a funnel, having testimonials from our team there. So they see that buy-in, they see how happy people are at our team. They go through the funnel. We make them fill out an application. I make them watch a 12-minute video of me, and I start off, the first half of the video is me talking about all the bad stuff in roofing sales, all the bad stuff. That way I disqualify everyone who's not a fit, and then I talk about the good stuff. Then after that, there's a 5-minute video talking about Cornerstone, why homeowners use Cornerstone, all the good stuff about Cornerstone. If they're fit after that, they fill out an application where they tell me their 3 goals, their current income, their income goals, a little bit about themselves. They have to do a personality test. So we know there's a few personalities that just are not a fit for sales. And I hate to say, hey, I'm not going to give this guy a chance, because I've had 1 or 2 people in the past that I let through and their work ethic superseded their personality. That is possible. If a guy's got a killer work ethic, he can overcome his personality, but it's super rare. And so we put them through that test. We see what the personality test is. We let them come in. We have them do a phone interview with, I have a lady, we call her Team Success Manager, Mama Kim, that's what we call her. She takes care of all the boys. She answers the questions. She gets on their gear, makes sure they're doing their training, all of that stuff. if she makes it through Mama Kim on the phone interview and they get into my office or one of our managers' office for an interview, they're basically hired at that point. So the process is just streamlined. We know they've watched all the bad stuff. They know all the bad stuff. They're willing to do what it takes to be successful. Now, do we still have people that don't make it? Of course. I think that that's probably just going to happen in this industry. At least I hadn't figured it out yet to have a 100% success rate. But man, we have a lot of fun with it. We try to ensure that we let them know all the negatives of the job first and disqualify as many people as we can, get the qualified in, and then provide them with what they need to be successful. And going back to what I said at the beginning, at the end of the day, I know I can sleep at night because if someone walks out the door and doesn't make it at Cornerstone, it was their fault. They didn't put in the work.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that funnel too. That's a really good idea. Having them watch the video like that. I like that a lot. Awesome. What do you got, Rance?
Finding great leadership, right? Culture is based on, it starts from the top down. And I always talk about this, how a culture is hired, not taught, right? You got to bring people in to fit the culture that you want versus trying to manipulate and change people to fit a culture that you want.
Mm-hmm.
And a culture is naturally going to take on the persona and the personality of the leadership. So sorry, but if you're an a-hole and don't actually care about other people and just trying to manipulate people to make money, unfortunately, we do see that in this business too much. You're not going to have a good culture. So if you're struggling with culture, this may be hard to hear, but if you're challenged and you're struggling with your culture, the first thing you got to do is look in the mirror. How can you improve as a person? Are you leading your team properly? Are you empathizing? Are you like you said, investing back into the team, not just money, but time and energy, and building solid relationships and creating a team family environment for them people to thrive in? Or are you just run around the office yelling and screaming at people all the time every time they make mistakes, right? That's not going to, cultivate a good culture, right? So again, it starts with leadership. You nailed that one on the head. I firmly believe that, culture is a direct reflection of the leaders.
And it's something I'm so passionate about, leadership. I work on it every day. I read, and I'll go to two quotes from, in my opinion, the two greatest in leadership, and that's John Maxwell. I know you know that everything rises and falls on leadership. And then Craig Rochelle, he says at the end of every single podcast, and I suggest to every person that if you want to become a better leader, go listen to the Craig Rochelle podcast, Craig Rochelle Leadership Podcast. He's the pastor, I think, the biggest church in America, Life Church. He helped found the Bible app. I think he's a co-founder of the Bible app. Maybe he was the sole founder of the Bible app, one of the biggest apps in the world. And he says people would rather follow a leader that's always real than always right. Sometimes you just got to have some humility and say, hey, I'm just going to be open and honest with you guys. I don't have to be right all the time. Sometimes I fail. We're not perfect, but we're going to try to be as real and as transparent as we can with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. I love that you mentioned the John Maxwell thing. I study him. I've read a number of his books. I'm actually part of his mentor leadership program. As a certified John Maxwell coach, and that's. Did
you go down to Orlando?
I didn't. They did a virtual thing, and I was like, no, I'm going to hold off COVID stuff. I ended up not going, but
I went down there to Orlando and did it. It was awesome.
Oh, nice. I've missed two of them now, so I'm going to have to get back. They actually been calling me. But speaking of podcasts, this is a podcast. We're filming live on Facebook, but there's a lot of productions, a lot of things that have to happen, and none of it's possible without the support of our sponsors. So we'll take a minute to give a shout out to our sponsors. For those of you contractors watching, it's imperative that you work towards building your business in a way that's, paperless, fully systemized. You have to have systems, processes to duplicate. You're hiring people. You got to be able to train them, but got to be able to give them the right tools. And one of those most important tools is Job Nimbus. It's one of the top CRMs in our space, fully customizable. You can build it out to fit your business model. As you grow your business, you add more add-ons and it gets better and better as you grow. You're able to do 1,000 roofs seamlessly with a great CRM system. So if you're looking into growing and adding a CRM or evaluating a CRM, definitely check out Job Nimbus at jobnimbus.com. Mm-hmm. And of course, we want to introduce one of our newest sponsors. For those of you in the insurance business, you guys do insurance, right, Hunter?
We do. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. More and more, unfortunately, it's just, we all know this. There's just this battle between the carrier and the contractor. It's been around since the beginning of the days, and it's going to continue to be around, and more we're having to get to a point where, with UPPA laws and all these things, it's becoming more and more of a challenge for us contractors that have leverage to get unfortunately, to get what we deserve and what we're supposed to be able to get to have market value. So oftentimes we're going to appraisal. And more and more companies are understanding what appraisal is. It's just a third party, neutral party that's not always just based on Xactimate, that has the market's best interest in mind. And we've been using a company called 6060 Appraisal, and they're one of our newest sponsors. If you're looking into appraisals, if you want to learn more about it, he's actually going to be on the show here in a couple of weeks. But definitely check them out at 6060group.com. And then one-click code. They've been a sponsor now for a few months, and this is a game changer in the insurance space, supplementing space. If you want to, have a document that shows exactly what the codes requirements are for that specific address, to leverage and use that document to send to the insurance company to make sure that they're paying you properly, and to also make sure that you're building the roof properly. oneclickcode.com is the company to help you get there.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Randy. And as always, we appreciate our sponsors making this possible. Now, okay, so one thing that I did want to talk to, right? We talked about leadership, and we talked how that sets the tone for culture. Now, how can you develop leaders within your company?
Yeah, man, I think the quick answer to that is empowerment.
Oh, you nailed it, bro. I was waiting to
Randy's feeling you today,
that,
Hunter. He's
nailed
feeling
it.
You, man.
This is my guy right here. Go ahead.
Man. So something we do a little bit different. I don't really share this much. We got somebody. How do you grow such a nice full beard?
Yeah, Brad. Whose beard do you like? Is it mine? Is it mine or what?
Many years. I'm just covering up all the ugliness underneath.
Who's got a better beard over here? Who's you guys like better? You guys like Hunter or Randy's beard, man? Who you guys like? Yeah, he does. He does. So how do you guys grow such a nice beard? What's the key there?
It's genetics, man. It's genetics.
I just chopped mine off about 2 hours ago. It's when it gets too long, it's in my mouth when I sleep. I got to cut it off.
Yeah. And then Peyton says Hunter is a BFF. Is that true? Are you guys BFFs or something?
He should be on the way to this house right now, man. We're doing a little RoofCon get down, doing a call-a-thon tomorrow. I think you're on it, aren't you, Randy?
I'm on, man. I am on at 12. Yeah, we're just kind of chatting now, but we're gonna lead right into that. We're gonna, as we wrap this thing up, we're gonna dive into RoofCon, man. That's gonna be awesome. We got the roofers in recovery, a lot of other things. So I want to kind of, if we can, shift gears a little bit and go that direction. Let's talk a little bit more about RoofCon. What is RoofCon? Where's it at? How many people are going to be there? How do we get involved? And then let's talk about some of the newest thing that's been coming up that we're doing tomorrow. And I'll just tee it up for you, man. Go ahead.
Well, I don't want to cut you off, Randy. You want to answer your question? You're getting excited, man. I don't want to cut you off.
He liked your response. Empowerment right there. We'll go ahead, man.
Yeah, man. Finish that up. Empowerment. I'm all about it. Like, it's when we do trainings on leadership, first thing we put up, leadership by empowerment.
Yeah.
Let other people make decisions, not major, little bit at a time. Let them make decisions. Let them make mistakes. Let them learn, and they will grow. They will be more loyal. They will, learn and get better and better and better. And you got to empower them to take ownership of their role within the business. You can't just sit there pecking and micromanaging the whole thing, but you got to oversee, and you got to put proper, KPIs and proper indicators and metrics in place to hold them accountable. But empower them to make decisions, let them make mistakes, and let them learn from them, because that's the way you're going to develop leaders.
Yeah, I love it, man. And like you said earlier, just top of mind. Like if you're a boss, if you're an owner, if you're a manager, if you're in a position of authority and you're watching this show and we're talking about empowerment, there is no better way to create more leaders and eventually take a little bit off of your back so you can focus on growing the company. I don't know if you know Roland Frazier. I was listening to some of his training a couple weeks ago. He's built multiple 8-9-figure businesses, had some acquisitions, huge acquisitions. And he was talking about, the comparison is always, are you working in the business or are you working on the business? And he said, as an owner, as you're scaling, you don't want to do either. You want to work above the business. And so he dives deep into that. And I love listening to that, Google that, listen to that talk. But yeah, man, it's tough. You know, one of the last things for me is giving up that marketing, the branding, because I always joke and say that if I'm one thing, I'm a brand Nazi. I want to make sure that if anything goes out to the public, to Facebook, if it's put on paper and it represents our brand, I want eyes on it. I want to make sure that it represents our mission and who we are. And I'm finally starting to give some of that up and really empower people to do their job and to take over. Craig Rochelle on his podcast says all the time. He says it all the time. If someone can do something 80% as good as you, let it go, because eventually they're going to be able to do it better than you do with their focus solely on it, so that you can focus on the higher level task.
I love that.
Yeah. And it's a simple thing. I learned this in business school of all places, you know, and well, I guess of all places, but in an entrepreneurship class, we had a guest speaker come in and he said, you know, the key to entrepreneurship and the key to success is to hire people better than you. And it's so true, man. Find people that are sharper, smarter, that want to learn, that are better than you at any given task, and that gives you more and more ability to work your way up to get to that 30,000 foot view that you're talking about, you know, where you're actually looking down on the business and you're able to, you know, oversee divisions, start to create divisions and look at, I need to work on this specific thing at this given time. Okay, that's working good. Let's go work on another one. And that's when, I'm telling you, that is when this gets really, really fun.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in a position where you don't have to be involved with the day to day and you aren't, you know, running around getting on roofs all day, every day, and you're just literally solving challenges and creating. I like my staff laughs at me because I come in, I create problems. Like I'm trying to break the system every time. I'm always trying to find ways to break the system to make it better, right? So that's my job now, is to find ways to kind of break down and improve on systems and processes. And if you're an entrepreneur, pure entrepreneur at heart, that's the best place to be, is when you're being an entrepreneur and really solving challenges and growing, strategically growing your business.
And I'll say something, you know, that most people don't want to hear. And the biggest thing, man, is like, as an owner, as a manager, as that alpha, you just got to put that ego to the side and let someone else take care of it, so you can focus on those bigger tasks. And it's hard to do that sometimes, but it's necessary if you're in growth mode, if you're trying to scale. You got to do it.
Totally. And then begin with the end in mind too, right? Have that vision, know where you want to go, know where you want to be. I mean, if you're, you know, it's funny. I have a client who loves sales and he just wants to, he's building a great company. I mean, they're upwards 7 million this year, probably, after 2 or 3 last year. It's like the really, really huge growth. And he hired a general manager and he hired people and put them in place because he knows that where he wants to be, plus his strengths are developing relationships, large loss, multifamily, like selling, that sort of thing. That's what he wants to do. And he knows that that's where his strength is. So he put the other people in place to take over, you know, the day-to-day operation of the business. So there isn't one right or wrong path to get to where you want to be, but have that vision, figure out what your strengths are, figure out where you want to go with your business and where you want to be within your business, and put all the right people in place to get yourself there.
No doubt.
Well, should we start to segue now towards RoofCon a little bit more and stuff like that? What to expect at the conference and how they can get involved?
Yeah, man, I'm happy to talk about it, answer any questions you guys have.
Randy, you excited about it or what?
I'm pumped about it, man. It's been
it's just a wedding, man.
I know. Unfortunately, they postponed their wedding. COVID's not fun, right?
Yeah.
Fortunately, it made me available, so now I'm there, and I appreciate giving me the opportunity to join you guys and be a part of it. I'm just humbled to just be a part of it. I mean, he's got anybody who's high integrity, respectable influencers in the space, in the roofing space. They're going to be there. I mean, if you really want to go to one place and learn from the absolute best of the best, you know, you got to go to RoofCon. I'm just grateful to be a part of it and to be, you know, even there, let alone one of the keynotes. So I appreciate you guys investing in me as well. And we're going to do our part to use this platform. If you're watching, if you're listening, you know, you're probably sitting around like anxious, man. It's been a long year. There's no conferences. There's nothing to do. You're tired of watching my videos online. So let's go do something live. Let's go in person. Yeah. Let's go to Houston and let's take over the Energy Center.
Yeah, it's super strategic with all the keynotes. You know, something that you're passionate about. We've talked about it on this very podcast, this very Facebook Live is putting in the work, executing. And so we set you up there at the end with that challenge to implement. Like, hey, from the start, Ryan Gross is going to talk about mindset. Jim Johnson's going to talk about goal setting on day 2. And every single one of those keynotes is extremely strategic. We didn't want to just talk about sales and supplement and all that stuff. Like I said, we're going to talk about that. But also, when you leave that conference, we want you to continue doing what you said you were going to do when you're there, because Tony Robbins talks about all the time. The only time you remember things is when there's emotion tied to it. And so the keynote we feel like they can pull that emotion out from the crowd and make sure that they remember it moving forward, and that they actually put the work in and make true change, so that when they come back next year, we've got kind of a running joke with everyone that's a part of the RoofCon organization. We say, hey, we want RoofCon to be like summer camp when you were a kid. You remember when you left summer camp or the dog days for football, and you're like, man, I got to go a whole year before I go back. Like, we want RoofCon to be like that.
Yep.
I love it. So we got Julie. Julie said, looking forward to RoofCon. She'll be there. Awesome. Latif may have to fly up. Sounds like Latif might be joining too. Randy, what are you talking about, man? As we start to slowly close this thing out, man, what are you talking about?
I'm humbled, but my man put me in a position to wrap this thing up. So me and John Dye are gonna do like a live sit down, essentially podcast style. And I got to take a bunch of notes. I'll be listening to all the keynotes and taking some notes and bring it all home with implementation. Right. It's, and I appreciate that. One of the things that's really, really helped our company grow and be so successful is our ability to take an idea and put that idea in motion and implement it. And create systems, create process, create SOPs, create KPIs, like create all these things and build this system that just runs like a well-oiled machine that allows me to go to 30,000 foot, to just put a handful of hours, very strategic hours in, and then allow the rest of my time to focus on coaching and developing others. How do we do that? We're going to talk about the process of how you implement systems and processes to make a well-oiled machine in your business. And ideally we'll be kind of really honing in and recapping and I'll do my best to try to bring it home, but there's a lot of really talented, really sharp people that I have a lot of respect for. So
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned the word implementation, because that brings me to the last question. We always ask for the golden nugget, right? One thing you want to leave the viewers with that you think that they should implement into their business or life that could do wonders or help them or fix the struggles that they're going to have, and really whatever it means. Randy, I know you just spoke, but you know that I make you go first now. Then I'll give the guests some time to kind of think about that gold nugget.
You know what? There's something I've learned, and I always pick up something throughout the show, right? And one of the things you talked about earlier, is humbling yourself and understanding. Check the ego at the door, because the reality of it is no one person is capable of doing everything and building a great company. Just doesn't exist. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. If you truly want to build a great company, this isn't about a certain dollar amount. This is about a great company, great purpose, takes care of people, growth minded. You're going to have to invest in other people. You're going to have to understand your strengths. You're going to have to understand your weaknesses. You have to find other people that can pick up the areas that you naturally aren't very good at. That's been the key to our success. We've been surrounded by, and hundreds too. We've surrounded ourselves with really good people that kind of make our jobs easy. To be honest, I have a really great business partner. We have a CEO in place. We have a CFO in place. We have managers in all the departments, and they really are just awesome, great people, way better at their jobs than I could have ever been. And I had to really humble myself to get to a place to allow that to happen in order to, to reap the benefits as an entrepreneur. So invest in other people, check the ego at the door.
Thanks, Rance. Hunter, what you got, my friend? What are we leaving the viewers with?
Man, it's so hard to pick one thing. We talked about.
I've had to do it about 114 times.
Yeah, I'm sticking with it every episode, man.
We talked about a lot, and that last comment that just came in, Aaron, he said accountability, and so I saw that, and I want to talk about accountability. Whether it's your team, whether it's you as the owner, don't feel like you got to go at it alone. There's plenty of people out here in the industry that want to see you win, believe it or not. I feel like I've only been in the industry for 3 years, so I can't speak for, the industry like I've been in it for decades, but I hear from all the old timers. I hear from the Randys, from the the Paul Reeds, from people that have been around for a long time. And I feel like there's this shift in the industry where roofers really do want to help other roofers. It's not the old game of, your competition. I'm not telling you what I do. A lot of what we do, Randy and I do, we share with people all the time. Other roofers, Sam, Paul, they come to these conferences and they share because they want to see other people win. They're coming from a place of care and love, and they want to see you do well and be able to leave that legacy. And going back to your why, establishing that, like, those are things we talk about at RoofCon and why it's so important to us. So when you get in a group like that and you can bring your team out there and you start digging deep, then you can hold each other accountable so that you have people more bought in that want to be a part of your team for long term. Because I think the average in the roofing industry is like 3 to 5 years for salespeople, so how do you get those guys to stay with you for 10 years, for 15 years, for 20 years, to buy into your culture, want to be a part of your team long term? And I think accountability is big, because when you can talk to someone about their goals and get onto them, or maybe have that tough conversation of, hey, why are you not hitting? And they know it's coming from a place of love, and you're not scolding them, but you're coming down on their level, because now you know their reasons. They understand it, and they want to not just push and do it for you, but do it for themselves.
100%, man. And so we had the well said, and Brad just said it. So when I came across you guys 3 to 4 months ago, it was clear that this is a new generation that has a very different mentality than some of the older guys that started working in the industry. This is a crazy different dynamic. Very cool to hear that. We love that. That's what it's all about. Well, Hunter, man, thanks you so much for joining us on episode 114 of the Start Build Grow Show, man. We'll see you down there in Houston for RoofCon.
For sure, man.
For those of you watching live, join us tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Quick, before we get carried away, before we end this thing, tomorrow we're doing a telethon. Man, old school telethon, right? It's like all day long, Facebook Live. And here's the thing. I've been around, and we'll talk about it more tomorrow, but I've been exposed to all different angles from and with family and friends and different things. One of my closest friends passed away of an overdose. My best friend growing up, and so I've been impacted greatly in my life from multiple perspectives of substance abuse, and in our industry, it's prevalent. There's a lot of of challenges and stuff like that many of us deal with in this space, in the roofing space. So, we started, I'm just joining in with you guys. You started a program where, called Roofers in Recovery, where they're sponsoring people that are ready to get the help they need to be able to change their lives. And I'm more than proud to be a part of the program that you're building, my friend.
Yeah, so I can't take credit for that. That's Paul Reed, Jonathan Sherwood, Eric O are doing that, and it's something that we've seen them do for a while. So we got involved, started helping them. They did a GoFundMe to raise $20,000 for the first scholarship, and then some of those guys doubled that. So we were donating, get some people to buy into that, and we said, hey, let's get them to RoofCon to share their story, because there are plenty of guys in the industry who need that. Again, going back to accountability, right? There's a group, Roofers in Recovery. If you're in recovery right now, or maybe you're struggling with something, go look up Roofers in Recovery. There's a Facebook group. I think there's about 100. I just looked earlier today. I think like 189 people in it. Connect with Paul Reed. Connect with Jonathan Sherwood. Connect with Eric O. I can't ever say his last name. Obernet or something like that. Connect with him, and they'll be happy to help you, man. But tomorrow is going to be awesome. We haven't offered anything other than 10% off of the tickets the entire time. So tomorrow we're taking 20% off. We're trying to make it a win-win-win. Taking 20% off of the tickets tomorrow during the call-a-thon. We're donating half of the profits to Roofers in Recovery. We're trying to help them get to that scholarship so they can send someone to rehab. And then you get to come to RoofCon and hang out with guys like Randy Brothers and John Dye and all of that. I mean, that's a big win too, but that's the last of. You get a discount. You get to donate to Roofers in Recovery. You get to be a part of a telethon, man. Come on. Who gets to be a part of a telethon?
I know. I got labeled one of the old guys just a couple weeks ago, so I'm not that old. I'm not old enough to be a part of a telethon. This is my first one. I'm excited to experience what the generations before us used to do back in the day to raise money and do things.
Man, come on, old man.
I know. I'm like the old guy now.
Yeah, I'm joking, man. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a fantastic night.